Welcome, brave souls. Tonight, we're not just dealing with haunted houses or spooky cemeteries, oh no, we're going smaller. Much smaller. Get ready for cursed dolls, sinister mirrors, and objects that seem innocent. Until they're not. So, pour yourself a drink and settle in, but be careful what you touch around you, something might already be haunted. After all, it's not just ghosts that can follow you home. Annabelle the Doll. The real-life Annabelle doll, while not as horrifying in appearance as the one depicted in the Annabelle movies, has a deeply disturbing history. The doll is a vintage Raggedy Ann, and it currently resides in a locked glass case in the Occult Museum, run by paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. In the 1970s, a nursing student named Donna received the doll as a gift from her mother. Donna and her roommate Angie initially thought nothing of it. It was just a cute, harmless toy. However, things quickly became strange. The doll would seemingly change positions on its own, appearing in different rooms of the apartment when no one had moved it. Donna and Angie would return home to find the doll in a completely different spot than where they had left it. What made the situation even more unnerving were the notes they began finding around the apartment. Written in childlike handwriting on parchment paper, the notes would say things like "Help us" or "Help Lou." Lou was a friend who frequently visited the apartment. Oddly, neither Donna nor Angie kept parchment paper in the house, and the note's origin remained a mystery. Events took a dark turn when Lou, who had always been uneasy around the doll, had a violent encounter. One night, Lou was staying over and awoke to find himself paralyzed. He felt Annabelle crawling up his body until she reached his neck, where she began to strangle him. As he fought to break free, the doll suddenly vanished. In another incident, Lou heard noises coming from Donna's room and, upon investigating, was attacked by an unseen force, leaving claw-like marks on his chest. Terrified, Donna contacted a medium, who told them that the spirit of a young girl named Annabelle Higgins had attached itself to the doll. The medium claimed that Annabelle had died in the apartment building many years before and was lonely, seeking companionship. However, Ed and Lorraine Warren, upon investigating the case, determined that the spirit was not a benign child but a malevolent entity posing as one, trying to get closer to the occupants. The Warrens took the doll to their museum, believing it was too dangerous to leave with Donna and Angie. While locked in the case, Annabelle is said to still exhibit strange phenomena. Visitors to the museum claim to have seen the doll move, and one man who taunted Annabelle reportedly died in a motorcycle crash shortly after leaving the museum. The Warrens' case files on Annabelle have been the inspiration for films, but the real-life encounters with the doll continue to intrigue and terrify those who learn of its story. The Busby Stoop Chair. The Busby Stoop Chair, located in North Yorkshire, England, is one of the most infamous cursed objects in history. The legend dates back to the late 17th century when a man named Thomas Busby was sentenced to death for murdering his father-in-law, Daniel Audie. The murder took place after a heated argument, during which Busby, a known drunkard, had become enraged over Audie's interference in his life and business. As Busby was being led to his execution in 1702, he passed by his favorite chair in a local inn where he had spent much of his time. Legend has it that he cursed the chair, declaring that anyone who sat in it would meet a swift and untimely death. After his hanging, the chair remained in the inn, and over the next few centuries, locals began to notice a terrifying pattern. During World War II, airmen from a nearby base who dared to sit in the chair never returned from their missions. Others who sat in the chair also met untimely ends, some in fatal accidents, others in sudden illnesses. In one particularly famous case, 2 bricklayers sat in the chair while taking a break and were killed in a car crash on their way back to work. The chair's reputation as a death sentence grew, and eventually, the inn's owner moved it to the basement, hoping to prevent further tragedies. However, curiosity often got the better of visitors, and people continued to sit in the chair despite the warnings. In 1978, after yet another fatal accident, the chair was finally donated to the Thirsk Museum, where it was hung on the wall out of reach to prevent anyone from sitting in it again. The museum staff firmly believes in the curse, and the chair remains one of the most notorious cursed objects in history. The Crying Boy Painting. In the 1980s, a mass-produced painting known as The Crying Boy became infamous after being linked to a series of unexplained house fires in England. The painting, created by Italian artist Giovanni Bragolin, depicts a tearful young boy, and it was sold in thousands of homes. For many, it was simply an evocative piece of art. But after a series of bizarre and devastating fires, people began to believe that the painting was cursed. The story began when a firefighter in Yorkshire reported that the Crying Boy painting had been found intact in the ruins of several burned-down houses. Despite the fires completely destroying everything else, the painting would be discovered unscathed. As more reports of the painting surviving fires surfaced, rumors began to spread that it was cursed. Owners of the painting shared eerie accounts of misfortune, claiming that shortly after hanging the painting in their homes, accidents, illness, and tragedy would follow. Some believed that the boy in the painting had died in a fire himself, and that his spirit remained trapped in the artwork, spreading destruction wherever it went. In one particularly strange case, a family's house burned down, leaving the painting of the Crying Boy untouched. Frustrated and terrified, many people began to burn their copies of the painting in fear that it might cause a similar disaster in their own homes. The story of the Crying Boy became so widespread that newspapers began covering it, and the Sun even organized mass burnings of the painting. Despite the widespread panic, no one has been able to explain why the painting seemed to survive so many fires. Some skeptics believe it's simply a coincidence, while others maintain that there's something truly supernatural at play. The Haunted Mirror of Myrtle's Plantation. Myrtle's Plantation in Street Francisville, Louisiana, is considered one of America's most haunted homes, and among its many ghostly artifacts is a mirror said to contain the spirits of a family who died under tragic circumstances. The plantation, built in 1796, has seen a great deal of death over the years, much of it steeped in Southern Gothic tragedy. According to legend, the mirror holds the spirits of Sarah Woodruff and her 2 children. Sarah and her husband, Clark Woodruff, lived on the plantation in the early 19th century. The family's downfall began when a slave named Chloe, who worked in the house, was caught eavesdropping on a conversation and was subsequently punished by having her ear cut off. In revenge, Chloe poisoned a birthday cake intended for the family, hoping only to make them ill. Instead, the poison was too potent, and Sarah and her 2 children died. Following their deaths, it is said that their spirits became trapped inside a large mirror in the home. Visitors to Myrtle's plantation frequently report seeing strange, ghostly figures in the mirror's glass, most commonly a woman in a white dress, thought to be Sarah. Some have even seen the faces of children peering out from the mirror's depths. These spirits are believed to be unable to move on, forever bound to the object. The mirror is also said to leave eerie handprints, as though someone inside is pressing against the glass, trying to escape. No matter how many times the mirror is cleaned, the prints always return, especially after visitors or paranormal investigators attempt to communicate with the spirits inside. This mirror is just one of many haunted objects in the Myrtle's plantation, but it remains one of the most chilling. The mirror's sinister reputation has led some to avoid looking into it for too long, fearing they may see something, or someone, they can't explain. The Dybbuk Box. The Dybbuk Box is one of the most chilling haunted artifacts in recent history. Its legend traces back to Jewish folklore, where a Dybbuk is a malicious spirit that can possess a living person. The story of the box gained widespread attention after a man named Kevin Mannis purchased it from a yard sale in 2001. He found it among the belongings of a Holocaust survivor who had passed away. Mannis, a writer and antique dealer, bought the cabinet as a gift for his mother. What followed, however, was a series of terrifying events that would lead many to believe that the box was cursed. Mannis first noticed strange things happening shortly after he brought the box home. The smell of jasmine and cat urine would randomly fill the air, and at night, he had vivid, terrifying dreams of an old hag attacking him. Soon after, his mother, who had received the box as a gift, suffered a stroke while opening it, leaving her partially paralyzed and unable to speak. She managed to scrawl 2 words, "hate gift." Desperate for answers, Manis researched the origins of the box and discovered that it was a Jewish wine cabinet, said to be cursed with the spirit of a Dybbuk. Over time, the box changed hands between various owners, and all reported similar disturbing occurrences, nightmares, illness, and inexplicable bad luck. Some claimed to see shadowy figures lurking near the box, while others experienced objects moving on their own. One of the most unsettling accounts comes from Jason Haxton, who acquired the Dybbuk box from Manis in 2004. Haxton, a museum curator, initially dismissed the stories as mere superstition. But soon after taking the box, he began experiencing mysterious health problems. His eyes would burn, and he felt short of breath. He, too, had violent nightmares of a faceless hag, and strange things happened around his home. Lights flickered, electronic devices malfunctioned, and unexplainable bruises appeared on his body. Terrified, Haxton consulted with rabbis and psychics who performed rituals to seal the Dybbuk back inside the box. In 2016, paranormal investigator Zach Baggins acquired the box and placed it in his haunted museum in Las Vegas, where it remains locked in a protective case. Many visitors claim to feel an oppressive presence near the box, and those sensitive to the paranormal report an overwhelming sense of dread. The Dybbuk box continues to fascinate and terrify people, its legend growing with each encounter. Some believe that the spirit trapped within is far more malevolent than anyone knows and that disturbing the box could unleash something far worse. Robert the Doll. Robert the Doll is perhaps one of the most infamous haunted dolls in the world. The story begins in the early 1900s when a young boy named Robert Eugene Otto, known as Gene, was given a doll by a servant working for his family in Key West, Florida. The doll, which stands about 3 feet tall and is dressed in a sailor suit, was named Robert, after the boy. Gene became deeply attached to the doll, treating it as if it were a real person, and insisting that Robert had a mind of his own. Strange events soon began to occur around the Otto household. Gene's parents would hear him talking to the doll, and at first, they assumed he was simply playing. However, they soon heard a different voice responding to Gene. Neighbors reported seeing Robert moving from window to window when the family was away, and Gene's parents would often find overturned furniture and other strange messes in the home. When confronted, Gene would always say, "Robert did it." As Gene grew older, his obsession with Robert remained. He even kept the doll with him after moving back into the family home as an adult. After Gene's death in 1974, the new owners of the house were quick to discover Robert's disturbing nature. The doll would be found in different rooms despite not being moved, and strange giggles and footsteps were heard throughout the house, even when no one was home. Some claimed to see the doll's facial expression change, watching them as they passed by. Robert was eventually donated to the Fort East Martello Museum in Key West, where he remains on display to this day. Visitors to the museum report strange occurrences, especially if they take a photo of Robert without asking for permission. People have claimed that their cameras malfunctioned, they experienced bad luck, or even had accidents after their visit. The museum regularly receives apology letters from visitors who believe they were cursed by Robert after disrespecting him. The story of Robert the Doll has inspired numerous horror films and continues to captivate those intrigued by haunted objects. To this day, museum workers are cautious around Robert, ensuring he is treated with the utmost respect. The Hands Resist Him Painting. Known as the eBay Haunted Painting, The Hands Resist Him is a disturbing piece of artwork painted by artist Bill Stoneham in 1972. The painting depicts a young boy standing in front of a glass door, accompanied by a life-sized, doll-like girl. Behind the door, ghostly hands press against the glass as if they are trying to escape from another world. The painting itself is eerie, but what makes it truly unsettling is the legend that surrounds it. In 2000, The Hands Resist Him gained internet fame when it was listed on eBay by a California couple. They claimed that the painting was haunted and described a series of frightening experiences that began after they purchased it. According to the listing, the figures in the painting would move during the night. The boy would step out of the frame, and the doll would follow him. Sometimes, the hands in the background would change position, pressing harder against the glass. The couple set up a motion-sensitive camera to prove that the painting was indeed moving on its own. They claimed the footage captured the boy and the doll stepping out of the painting during the night. They also reported that people who viewed the painting online experienced dizziness, nausea, and fainting spells. The eBay listing caused a media frenzy, with people from all over the world bidding on the painting. Some were drawn to its eerie beauty, while others wanted to see if the paranormal claims were real. Ultimately, the painting sold for $1,025 to a gallery owner in Michigan. Bill Stoneham, the artist, was surprised by the controversy. He explained that the boy in the painting was based on a photograph of himself at age 5, while the doll represented a guide to the dream world. The hands, he said, symbolized unseen forces that hold people back. Despite the artist's benign explanation, the legend of the hands resist him continues. Visitors to the gallery where it is displayed have reported feeling uneasy in its presence, and some claim that the painting's eyes follow them as they walk by. Its eerie reputation persists, and it remains one of the internet's most famous haunted paintings. Each of these haunted items carries a legacy of terror, wrapped in mystery and death, leaving many to wonder if these objects truly hold supernatural powers or if they are merely the product of our darkest fears. Well, if you've made it through all 7 stories without tossing your belongings out the window, consider yourself lucky. If you enjoyed hearing about cursed trinkets and possessed objects, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Who knows, maybe your phone is already haunted. Might as well make friends with it. After all, you don't want to upset the spirits in your device, do you?